Me. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 52. Every number I get, I was like, oh my God, we're getting closer to a year since I actually been doing this live on the air.
Hi.
It's great. So I am your host, Dave Prime. Over yonder, there is Captain Katie or Ditzy Witch. How are you doing today, my dear?
Well, two things. One, I got through the day without stabbing anybody with a fork.
That's a plus.
Um, it was a close call, though.
Mm.
And I actually watched the right episode this week. Now, I know that I wasn't here last week because I had, you know, things were going on and I went downhill very quickly. So I apologize for my absence last week, but I'm sure Phil did a great job. But
Yeah.
it's a really good job that I actually didn't. Have a co-host position last week because I watched the wrong bloody episode. I watched Measure of a Man instead of Parallels. I
I
was a
thought
little bit ahead of schedule.
I thought you watched The Naked Now.
Oh no, yeah, I watched The Naked Now. Sorry, there's been something. Oh, for goodness sake, can we just cut the live rewind time and then just because it's honestly it's been one of those days. Almost everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong for me, and I'm just like. I was supposed to be back at my desk. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting show, people. So buckle in. Look at me with that tone of voice. Don't you look at me with that tone of voice, dear.
There's no tone at all. It's just in the eyes.
Oh, honestly, I think I was a Klingon in a past life. Honestly.
No, but it's been an interesting couple of days for me too. Saying so, even though I don't get any special break or anything like that, I am unofficially the assistant manager for the sober living house that I'm at right now. So I'll be helping
Woo!
be helping the house manager with some of the duties because it's new to him. So I'll take some of the weight off his shoulders, but it'll look good on the
Yeah,
resume at least.
it will, and that is an accomplishment. It really is. Yeah, much pride, darling.
Yeah, so I make it strides, and not only that, I could be taking over one of the meetings that I've been going to the last couple of weeks. It's as my home group refers to as it's a Labiqua. A
Bloody allergies.
no, no, I was just getting a little choked up over it. But
Oh,
but it's a LGBTQIA plus Labiqua for one of the AA groups because I started going because one of the guys that goes to my home group, he started it up, but he realizes he's got too much on his plate. So he's like, if you want it, we'll see what happens.
I like that. I really do. I like that. It's very It's a very big thing to take on, but I'm sure
Hmm.
you're gonna smash it.
I've actually chaired the last two meetings, so the person that so I mean, we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
we did get a chance to mention it backstage, but I've finally realized there's quite a few episodes where Dax was in immediate danger or peril. Because I mean, there was the episode we're going to talk about tonight, invasive procedures, where her symbiote was stolen for all intents and purposes. And then what made me think the events of what happened in this episode made me wonder if that kind of caused some of the degradation where Duran, his memories started to surface, and that occurred almost exactly a year later because it's season 3, episode 4 was that episode.
Yes. Believe it or not, I had the same train of thought, and it was only today when I watched the episode that I had that train of thought, and
Me too.
it
We must have been on the
could.
same train. We did see each other.
Yeah, I think I think that could possibly be what caused the degradation to be able to let Duran surface. You know, it is very yeah, it really does make you think. This invasive procedures is one of my favorite episodes of
Hmm.
DS9. Um,
And it's
I
one of Terry's
do
other
like
favorite
DS9,
episodes
but
too.
I'm not a big fan of it. I
Hmm.
like it, but I'm not as big a fan as you are, Dave. Or Travis, because I know that he's in love with DS9 as well. But there are certain episodes that I absolutely adore, and this is one of them. And I'm sorry, but John Glover, the man himself, I absolutely adore him. He is such a versatile actor, and he puts his all into his acting, and he makes it so believable. And but he makes it look so easy, and I absolutely adore that man. He is lovely.
And yeah,
But yeah,
he did a great job, say pre and post joining. I mean, he was like reserved, timid, unsure of
yeah.
himself, like very withdrawn. But when he got the Dax symbiont, yeah, he was just like all kinds of gregarious, and but that of course blows up in his face at the end.
I mean, when he gets all confident and like his posture raises and straightens, he actually reminded me of when he took on the role as Lionel Luthor in
Hmm.
Smallville. He had that same like air about him, and I love that. And I mean, like I say, he is such a versatile actor, and he is. I love the man. I really do. I love him so much. I follow him on Instagram.
Mm.
Um,
Travis's comment say, "Well, we'll bring Tyson in on the chat, but hopefully he doesn't need a level 2 diagnostic, but we'll just have to wait and see. How's it going, Tyson?"
yeah.
How are you? I was about to type a smartass reply, but since I'm here,
Shit.
uh, yeah, brand new system, so still working out the bugs. I'm still running my old computer. This is the DT computer, the one. So you notice that my background isn't the door. Um,
Mm.
and For an older system, it was never designed to run 3 screens, so I had to get a graphics card, had to upgrade the RAM, uh, added some new audio stuff. So still working out the bugs. We'll see how it goes. In fact, I wasn't even planning on wearing a headset. This is as we came on and I started testing, my audio wasn't as good as Amazon said it would be.
Mm.
Um, you know,
Hey, Phil.
it
He'll
is what it
Phil will
is.
be joining us momentarily, like as usual. Like in typical DT fashion, he's running a little behind.
I I hope he does. I
Yeah.
always love talking to Phil. Today is another auspicious day for me. Um, it is the 1 year anniversary of the passing of my mom.
Oh
I took
wow.
today off to honor her and to spend some time thinking about her, watching Star Trek. It's because of her that I got into Star Trek. So,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, she
It's
passed away on
crazy.
March 10th, 2024.
Yeah, it's crazy. A year has already passed. That's just
It is.
nuts. So that being said, just is DT down for Wednesday, or are we still on hiatus while we get the main studio up and running?
I have not heard a word. I need to reach out to Manu and find out where we are and what's going on. I know they were busy upgrading their systems. I was here busy upgrading mine. Looks like it's still going to be a little bit of work. But
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, say we still need to get him roped in for. Still need to talk to him to see what day works best for him to do Q2. We were going to do a review of Q2. I just want to do it a day and bring him on the conversation. So, little spoiler for everybody. Yeah.
No, it'd be good to have one of the actors from Q2.
Yeah.
Itchy,
Oh,
I believe
definitely.
is what they called
Itchy
him,
and
right?
cue ball.
Oh yeah, I absolutely adore that episode. I really do. But yeah, I'm really hoping that DT will be back next week.
Yeah, but Tyson, your time is short today, so let's dive straight into invasive procedures. What are like
Um,
some of your opening thoughts and
I'm
like
gonna
how it
start
went?
with I'm having trouble remembering which episode this is. So if you
It's
give
the
me a
first
quick
time.
I've seen them all. So if you give me a quick synopsis, I'll remember and then I'll tell you.
Ion Storm, Dax's symbiote gets stolen and put into another guy.
Oh, is that where the guy comes on the station and
Hmm.
demands?
Yeah,
Oh,
John
okay.
Glover.
See, now I
Lionel
remember the
Luthor
episode.
steals the Dax symbiote.
Now I remember the episode. That's what it. All you needed was a quick synopsis. Yeah, that was a hard one for me because there's a lot of medical, um, ethical issues going
Hmm.
on there. And then once
Mhm.
once Dax is transferred, it's like it would kill him to transfer him back, right? So what are they going to do? Uh, Really, good. It reminds me a little bit of the Voyager Tuvix episode, right? When Tuvix is
Hmm.
created, and then now you have a moral dilemma. What do you do now that this has happened? It's too bad that it happened, but now what? And that's kind of what we were looking with the Dax symbiote. So I don't want to give any spoilers. I'll let you guys do the spoilers, but really, really good ethical episode.
Yeah, I'd say I guess that since wow, my brain just went totally just. It's been a weird week. When Varad,
Usually it's
I
me
guess
that
he
can't
didn't.
brain and form words.
And since Varad didn't have the symbiont for long enough to be fully integrated, he likely survived losing it and going back into Jadzia. But that also brings up another dilemma. The put underfoot.
Oh no, I some glasses fell on the floor from I don't know where.
Oh, no, speaking of glasses, I got an itch in my eye. But yeah, we never heard about Varad ever again after this episode. When the Gentara, when Jadzia went through that, they just skipped right over Varad.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that today as well for the first time ever.
Same.
But yeah, that's a little I mean, maybe because he wasn't supposed to have the symbiote because he stole it. Because yeah, even though she remembers everything, his maybe it's because she only remembers the events of what happened when her symbiont was stolen, rather than having him a part of her, sort of thing.
And we got Travis on the line. Hello, sir.
Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Now we can see it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yes,
I'm
yeah,
always trying to promote the channel.
yeah.
There
Tyson's
you
the one
go.
who designed that, so thank you again. Say now I just got to find other ways of integrating it. But if you notice on the opening credits, I kind of switched it up to the TNG font, which to kind of mix it up a little bit.
Oh, I can fix that.
Travis,
But
darling, talk to me, make me smile, give me good news because I've had a shit day.
Oh, there's not been much good news with me on my front.
hmm,
Yeah,
like, Katie
About
is
was it
disappointed.
yeah. I'm sorry, Katie. About February the 28th, I got laid off again, and this
Oh
time
no.
it's
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, it's permanent. So
Yeah, I
oh my
remember
God,
you and I
I'm
talking
sending you
about that the other night.
so many hugs, darling, so many hugs. Mwah. Would
thanks.
you like me to make a voodoo doll of your former employers?
no, make a
Uh,
voodoo doll of Donald Trump and Elon Musk and poke
Yes.
their eyes out.
Done.
Yeah,
You know I
Oh,
need
especially
to get into voodoo for that.
You know what? Throw in
especially
JD Vance just for good measure. Make one of him too.
well, you know,
Yeah.
Twitter was that not to get sidetracked from the topic at hand. Twitter was down for a good while because they came under a cyber attack. So
well
I mean,
Oh,
they're
I
still having
didn't
issues
know
because
that.
we're not able to stream on there for whatever reason today.
mhm. But you know, I mean, I'm in between jobs. I'm collecting unemployment for a short time, but you know, I mean, I gotta. I'm just looking to probably try to get in something that I can work from home, if
Mm.
possible, if I can get try to work from home. But,
Yeah, that might be the
uh,
best idea, to be quite honest, because I mean, at this rate, if you were to get laid off again, there'll be so many people coming under attack from voodoo. It just won't be funny.
oh no.
Well,
Oh, oh,
Zach's
but not
lurking
to
in the
get.
background. Just put him in there in case he's able to talk. If not, welcome, sir.
I
Hopefully,
don't
like
want to
yeah.
get off track and everything, but I want to hear, what's going on with, the topic of discussion about this episode. I just came in because I'm sorry I'm a little late. I had to do something.
And I'm going to say something that I'm going to instantly regret, but I've always wanted to have Travis under me. So this is perfect.
Well, Tyson, I do declare.
You give me the vapors.
Oh, who's gonna crispy my cream?
Ah, damn it. What'd you do, Dave? I had him right where I wanted him. All right.
He disappeared. um,
Tyson.
That was my fault. I'm
Jesus
sorry.
Christ.
I instantly
Oh,
regret that.
I love you guys.
yeah, but
We love you
yeah.
too, darling. And when you and Tyson get going with the banter, the way you two bounce off each other is that's probably the wrong word to use. I'm just making things worse. Carry on. I'll just mute myself while I.
Well, I miss Tyson and Manu bouncing off each other. It's been a good long while since we've seen one of those.
Yeah, I need to find out what's
Yeah,
going
I
on. And
miss them.
I've been so busy, reorging. And you know what? One of the reasons I have to leave early is I have to transcribe handwritten notes from the Coast Guard Auxiliary
Ooh,
meeting because,
fun.
and this is, pages that have to be transcribed. So that's what I get to do on
Oh,
my day off.
Okay.
can I just? Tyson's just reminded me of something, and I really wanted to share it with you, and then we will get back to the show. I've started my writing again.
Kudos. Yay.
And the reason why it reminded me is because Tyson said like a load of pages, because I'm transferring everything over onto Apple Pages, for like publishing purposes and that, because they often use Mac things. But yeah, it seems to be going well, and I've officially got the content for 2 books.
Woohoo.
Yeah, so instead of doing 1 book, I'm doing 3 books. So it's going to be like a
Ooh,
3-parter. And yeah, everyone's good. If
lucky.
anybody, like, anybody who reads the first book, they're going to hate me.
Oh,
Because you see, I'm one of these people where I can't stand cliffhangers. And I know a lot of readers are like that. So, I'm leaving them on a really major cliffhanger. And I feel no regret over it at all. But, it is going well. And I'm reformatting, restructuring. But yeah, I have officially started writing again, and within the next week or two, my blog will return as well.
Right on.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
but
I just thought I
Very
would share that
nice.
with you.
yeah,
Now I expect a signed copy at some point, which I will buy. I'm not a cheapskate. I'm just saying.
but say a director's name was interjected into this episode, even though he didn't direct this specific episode. Director Cliff Bowl, when Cisco was talking with Varad, talking about memories and stuff, and remember the cliffs of Bowl?
I've been
Yeah.
completely head
Yeah, see,
love.
I totally didn't, I totally missed that until I read it on IMDb. It's like, oh my god, yeah, okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh.
But no, I really do love this episode. It's one of my favorite episodes, and who don't love Jadzia and who doesn't love John Glover? If you don't love John Glover, then I question our friendship extremely, like more so than ever before. But
But no, we did mention it backstage that yeah, this is one of Terry Farrell's favorite episodes too. So
yeah,
Really?
yes, and it was so well done, and oh, thank you, Tyson. I love you so much.
but yeah, yeah,
um,
his time is short, so let's hand the microphone over to him before he has to bail on us.
shit, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
No, not a problem. Again, just it was a very good episode. Um, I I really need to go back and rewatch it for the details, but just the gist of it. He was passed over. He was in the program. He was supposed to get the symbiote. For whatever reason, was passed over. I'm assuming based on the events that happened. Clearly, he didn't have the temperament, and that was probably, a large part of the
Yeah,
reason. Certainly, I mean, if you're cuckoo enough to go in and try to steal a symbiote, knowing that the Dax humanoid symbiote would die without, once you've been uh, um,
Join.
joined, yeah, unjoining is not good for either, except for the symbiote. When the humanoid symbiote dies, the uh, uh, what's the name of that species? Trill.
Trill.
The
Sure.
the Trill symbiote has to. Now, does the humanoid also have a species, or are they both Trills, or
I
is it
think they're
like Trill
both.
humanoid and Trill worm? I don't know.
Yeah, I
no,
think I read
Trill's a
somewhere
bit
that yeah,
like,
they're classified as one race.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go to DS9 and try to steal the symbiote, and I'm still, reflecting on the episode, trying to understand what the why risk. I mean, if you put that in modern times, it's like robbing a bank, right? You know you're not going to get away with it. You know you're going to murder somebody to do it. And then, say it was successful and you're joined. Now, what are you going to do? Just be on the run for the rest of your life because you're not going to integrate in any kind of society since you stole a trill and killed somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And plus,
what are you going to do after the fact? Like that. That's what I.
Trill is part of the Federation.
Yeah, yeah. You become a fugitive.
Hmm.
But no, I think from what he said, he wanted to be joined for the wrong reasons because he kept saying about having a mediocre life and he wasn't settling for it. And it seems like he had some form of like, I don't know, some form of complex about him. And he believed that he deserved it all. He deserved to live a much better life. Now, all right, fair enough. I think that a lot of people deserve a better life, but going into something like the joining just so that you're not living a mediocre life. Hello, darling. Mwah. Um, that's the wrong reasons to join. I mean,
Mm.
Jadzia joined because she wanted to have the experience, yes, but also she wanted to contribute more to her society by the knowledge gained and her own knowledge combined with it as well, but he went into it for all the wrong reasons. And obviously, he wasn't mentally stable enough to, I mean, if he'd have managed to get away to the Gamma Quadrant, he'd have probably died as well as the symbiont.
Yeah.
And you got to think about this too. Like we all learn about, the reason why, uh, each initiative go through a very extensive like training procedures, everything from psychological to physical and to everything. There is a reason for that, but we all do know that majority of the trills themselves can be joined. Now, you look at this particular episode. We did not know that before, this particular episode. You look at this episode and you see that you have one person singled out, one person singled out another person in his society, like Katie said, for some very selfish reasons that he felt like him and the symbiote, you know, matches up. And he will stop at nothing to, get that symbiote to no end, even though, the death of others is just the ends to a mean. And it,
Yeah,
and
he,
it,
he
and it's
basically
sad.
went into it thinking that if he was joined, he would be superior to those who aren't. That is that is like breaking it down to the basics. He believes that those who are joined are superior to those who aren't, and that's why he wanted to be joined. He basically said as much.
Now, was it just the second episode that we seen Tim Russ in the Star Trek that he featured in the Star Trek episode
Yeah, the
before?
first one was Starship Mine with Next Generation, and now he's playing a Klingon in this episode. And then, of course, after that is played Tuvok in Voyager, and he played Mirror Tuvok in DS9, even though he wasn't mentioned by name specifically by any of the characters. We just everyone
Yeah.
knew that's Tuvok.
Uh,
Yeah.
I like that. I kind of I like that. The little you know seed of like hey this particular actor had little steps in the Star Trek franchise before we all knew what this actor become in a series of his own with others and stuff. I really like that. What's funny about this episode too? Quark.
Oh yeah,
Let's talk about Quark
Oh, I
before
love
before
that
we
dude.
move. It's like he does his what he does things to the people who actually protect him, and he does things to like, oh, Quark, really? And then you turn around, you help these people get on the station because of basically, he got paid, but then turn around, find out, he flipped the script and be like, he can't, be part of this and stuff. It's like, oh, Quark, you do things that, you never cease to amaze me at just how, at his, he is a businessman, but then he does have his, I hate to say, but morals, his Ferengi morals, I should say.
well,
Yeah.
yeah,
He
and
works in
actually
morally grey areas.
bringing that up made me think. Just like since he didn't get paid, that maybe that's why he started getting a little uncharacteristic and jumped on Takar and just tried to like hopelessly tried to subdue him. Which I mean, Ferengi aren't
Yeah,
that bold.
I don't believe that. I actually,
That's
fair
the word
enough.
I was
Like
looking for.
not getting paid could have been the reason why, but he's got a bit of a soft spot for Jadzia.
Hmm.
Not as much as Julian, but he has got a bit of a soft spot for Jadzia, and I do believe that he stupidly attacked Mr. Nasty Bad Klingon um to try and save her because he knew he'd get sent to the infirmary if he started ranting and raving about his ears. And he him and Julian worked together and they got Odo out. And I do think that he sat there fiddling with that coin between his fingers and um and thinking out a plan of how he could get himself to sickbay so that he could try and actually help. Because I'm actually wondering um if he knew that they were going to try stealing Jadzia's symbiont?
Yeah, that is a good question. I never thought about that.
Because that was
Because
never
I have to
spoken
go.
about.
Bye,
All
guys.
right. See
Thank
you
you,
next week, Tyson.
See you later.
yeah.
Stay in touch with me, Tyson.
But no, that was never stated whether he knew about the theft of the Dax symbiont or not. So I'm wondering if he was he was kept in the dark about that, and when he realised exactly what was happening, maybe they thought they just wanted to steal some technology or something from the station, which wouldn't cause much harm. But when he realised that Jadzia's life was in danger, maybe that's when he was just like, "Oh shit, what have I done?" It's plausible because every now and again, Quark does surprise you, and he does do things for the right reasons, even if he's the one that's fucked things up in the first place.
And I think he had one of the lines of the episode uh, at the beginning when he said that Rom couldn't find a cup of water if you dropped them in the middle of a lake.
Oh, poor Rom. I mean, yeah, I love that line. I really do, and I do giggle at that. But poor Rom.
Rom is
There's a
something
lot.
else.
What was that, Travis?
I said, you said poor Rom. I said Rom is something else. For in the previous episode, was it because it was a 3-part episode of that of the start of season 2? He was able to book himself with a double girl onto was that a runabout or a shuttle or something,
It was runabout.
and it was so funny. I was like, oh, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna go off and take money and take a double girl.
Yeah, so of course that just kind of leads in one of the other notes I put in. This episode was another one of those where Quark missed the transport because he was hauling all his latinum with him.
Mm,
Yeah. Oh, I think
oh,
Phil's popping in.
Let's bring my brain's not one of the brain. Hey, Phil.
Hello.
hey,
Hello.
Phil.
Good evening.
Hello, my darling. I just want to say thank you so much for stepping in for me last week.
Oh, no problem.
It was a complete shock for me the way that I went downhill so quickly, and by the time the show was on, I literally I could barely stand up, and I couldn't see. It was awful. So I really do appreciate you standing in for me at the last minute.
That's fine. No, I'm usually here on anyway, so yeah, I'm happy to do so. But are
And
you
he
feeling
did a
better tonight?
wonderful job. He did a wonderful job, I have to say.
Are you feeling any better tonight?
Sort of, kinda. But I've had a shit day, and but luckily I didn't. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I got through the day without stabbing anybody with a fork.
Oh,
Well, that's a good
So
thing. You did not stab anybody with a fork.
yes, although I am considering getting into voodoo for certain reasons, but
okay.
yeah. And now I've got this pain in my leg. That's why I've turned my camera off because nobody wants to see my face when I'm in pain.
Okay.
But no, I'm okay. I'm alive.
All right. Well, that's kind of the main thing. That's the main good thing. We're still here.
But did Dave tell you? It's a really good job that I wasn't co-host last week because I watched the wrong episode.
Oh,
For the first time
Really?
I watched one of the few. Yeah, I watched The Naked Now, which is a future episode we'll be covering. But I watched the wrong episode because I was scrolling through YouTube, like, was it the day after? And I saw Parallels, and it started playing, and I'm like, when did we do that show? And I looked at the date, and it's like one day ago, and I'm like, oh, holy crap, it's a really good job that I didn't do the show because I mean, if I had have done the show, very luckily, I know that episode very well. So I'd have got through it, but I don't know why I'm telling you, because I'm just about to say it'd been very embarrassing, but I've just embarrassed myself anyway, so.
I've almost done that twice.
I've never done it. It must have been fate that I was not doing the show last week. But So earlier on, I messaged Dave and I said, which episode is it?
No,
Just so that I know.
Well, if I go on
Yeah,
YouTube,
'cause-
I can see like the upcoming episodes, and it showed the two sort of the two thumbnails. And I read the wrong one. I looked at the wrong one. I was almost going to load up the wrong episode, and I kind of went back and checked. So I thought that doesn't sound like the one he talked about last week. And I went and looked. I went, oh no, wait, there's dates on the bottom, and I can see. Oh crap! So yeah, I almost put on the wrong one.
yeah, saying so.
Yeah, literally.
And
And I'm just like,
yeah.
but yeah, honestly, I watched the wrong episode. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a laugh watching it, but you know, it was just fate that I wasn't doing the show last week, and it's the first time ever that I've watched the wrong episode, and you know, so it was just meant to be. You were meant to co-host last week, Phil, and thank you so much again.
Oh, you're very welcome. I think everyone carried it really well. I like to try and kind of keep an eye on the chat, and just, you know, everything seems to flow really good on here. So
Really do.
It does. And you know, I mean, I feel sorry for our poor audience. You know, all the testosterone in the room not broken up.
yeah.
By a female presence, you know, I mean, that must have been very hard on the audience. And you know, all your like Americanness and Canadianness, you know, not broken up by my Britishness, you know, must have been difficult.
Oh goodness gracious!
But yeah, I was also reading on IMDb about the scene went up and off when Tim Russ takes a swing at Kira. It was known as stunt double Patricia Tillman, and he actually connected. And he was freaking out because it was like, oh my god, I actually hit her, and she was like,
oh shit.
I mean,
and I totally didn't even. I'll have to watch the episode again just to see that connection.
and you know, it's so crazy that, you know, when it comes to stuff like that, and their stunts and stuff, and of course they can only go so far as an actor before their stand-in have to, you know, come in, their stunt double come in and stuff. Hearing something like that, it's like, you know, a lot of these, you know, a lot of the actors, you know, they will go so far as, you know, their contract, or, you know, I guess insurance, you know, and stuff will allow them to, because, you know, I mean, we don't want to see anybody get hurt on, you know, a movie set.
Yeah.
Oh hell no!
But you know, something like that, you know, by accident, it's like, okay, we understand, you know, and stuff like that. And they try to minimize the stunt coordinators and stuff like that. They try to minimize all that and everything. But you know, it really shows you just how much, you know, they go into trying to prevent, you know, mishaps for things that show us that may take just a couple seconds, but they, you know, I guess do it over and over again and rehearse and stuff and everything. And it's like, okay, I like this, you know. Okay, I understand behind the scenes it's a big workout, but for us, they're giving us, you know, less than a 1 hour show that takes, you know, weeks to shoot, you know.
Mhm.
But
I like knowing all the behind the scenes stuff.
Huh?
I like knowing behind the scenes gossip and things, because it's like, if I think I don't know if I said it on the show when I was last on, but if I don't have, apart from, you know, First Contact the movie and a couple of other movies, Next Gen and Kelvin, I don't have any of the series on DVD or anything. But if I was to buy them, I would buy them specifically for like the gag reels, the behind the scenes, deleted scenes, because I can watch them digitally. I can stream them on like Paramount or wherever, you know. So I like to see all the behind the scenes, the interviews, the gag reels, and I'm really nosy, and I hold my hands up, and I'm proud of my nosiness. I really am. It seems to be a genetic thing, and my sister used to be worse, but I really do like knowing all the like nitty gritty things that go on behind the scenes, and it's nice to know these things, but it's also nice to know Travis. Yes, I had to read your name then. I forgot your name. Bloody hell. Um, what Travis said about the respect that they have for each other, it is nice to know that the respect is there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, to me, the next gen cast, I've never heard. Yeah, it could be wrong. I don't know. Anybody could correct me on this, but like, I don't know any like behind the scenes where the cast members didn't get along with one another. Like they, from what stories that came out
You're
about
you're
what
fading,
they.
man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you still hear me?
you can hear better now. Yeah.
Okay, I was just saying, behind the scenes, like on the next generation cast, they seem to, have a rapport with one another. There was no like, I didn't hear any kind of like bad tensions behind the scenes. If that anybody ever heard any bad tensions behind the scenes in the TNG or DS9, Voyager,
Yes,
Oh,
I don't know, but I don't
yes.
know.
All the way, basically, from about halfway through season one, there was a lot of tension.
Oh, didn't know that.
With Denise and Gates, because of how their characters were portrayed, and I mean, luckily, that the tension was eased, and Gates McFadden left, and so Dr. Crusher left, and we got Dr. Pulaski, and obviously Tasha was killed, but Denise Crosby actually went to Gene Roddenberry and said, "Is my character going to evolve? Or is this just how she's going to be?" And he said, "There's no plans for any evolution of your character." And she says, "Well, I don't like that status quo, and I'm really struggling with that." And he actually released her from her contract so that she could go find other work. And it's very difficult to get released from your contract because he could have just let her go, but kept her within contract for 7 years, so for the full length of time, and she wouldn't have been able to have worked outside of that contract. So he did release her fully from the contract with no animosity. Um, and because there was no animosity when she left, and she went on to do the things she wanted to do, she agreed to come back for certain episodes. And she actually said that was a really nice thing, and she enjoyed it. But especially when she returned for All Good Things, is it All Good Things, the series finale?
Yeah,
hmm
Yeah, All Good Things. She actually said that even though it was lovely to be back, because the rest of them had basically become a family during all those years, she did kind of feel a little bit out of place. Even though they treated her with the utmost respect, there was no animosity. She felt herself that she was a bit out of place there.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate. I mean, it's stuff like that happens. There's always gonna be like little tensions behind the scenes and stuff like that. But like for us getting to know the characters, we get to know the characters, but yet the actors behind it are different stories and stuff. Like I mean,
Sure.
they they are not who we look and see. It's like, oh, you can't associate the same actor to the character that they portray because they are totally two separate entities and stuff. But like this was the one thing about Star Trek that we all have and everything else. We
Mm.
enjoy and we admire, and like the stories that came along throughout the entire. How many years now that Star Trek has been around? About what? 55
Almost
years?
60 years.
60,
60 years
almost 60
next
years?
year.
Mhm.
60 years? Yeah. Yeah. 60 years. Wow. Goodness gracious.
Wow.
Yeah,
Boring.
I got an email this afternoon. They're already touting all the actors that are going to be on next year's cruise for the celebrate the 60th anniversary of Star Trek.
How many of the original TOS that's still living? Only
The
three?
principal cast it's Shatner, Takei, and
Or three.
Koenig.
Sorry, yeah.
3 out of the 7. Wow.
Yeah.
They lived long enough to see the 60th anniversary. Hopefully I can't say what's going to happen this year, but hopefully
One of them is saying he might come back, but we won't say who.
Mm. Yeah, so some of the other names that are going to be on the cruise next year: Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis, John Delancey, Denise Crosby, Terry Farrell, Nana Visitor, Norman Shimmerman, Matt Brodnick. How do they say
That's a good
the
question.
actor who played Rom's last name? Chase Masterson, Robert Picardo, John Billingsley, Connor Trenier, Anthony Montgomery, Dominic Keating, Sonequa Martin Grieg, Doug Jones, Anthony Rapp, Todd Stashwick, Connie Newsom, and Noel Wells. But a couple of the actors from the original series that had bit parts, they're going to be there. The Bobby Clark, who dressed up as the Gorn.
Oh, okay.
Sean Kenny, who played the second Captain Pike, just the wheelchair Pike, and then the Sandra Gimple, the salt vampire from the second episode of the original series reboot.
Right.
So, holy carrots!
Wow. Okay.
Maybe one or two, Katie. Maybe good ones. Ones that I really, I mean, I have difficulty watching a lot of TOS myself, but I mean, there were some good episodes.
We'll
from
find the ones with like
TOS.
the least amount of Kirk in it.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of my favorites is the Doomsday Machine, which has got a ton of Kirk.
Yeah,
Oh, of course.
that is a good
I
one.
like Balance of Terror.
And I can feel the glare coming across the pond there, Katie.
Balance of Terror was one of my favorites.
I will do my best. If
maybe.
I'm available, I will.
I'm questioning our friendship.
Okay. I'll take over on those.
Well, you
days.
still love me, though.
I was going to ask Phil. So, did you get a chance to watch this particular episode?
I did again, just as usual, just before we started. So, and I've had a ton of things to do today, and I was running around like doing laundry and stuff, trying to get everything done in time for this. So I did squeeze it in.
Okay.
Between dinner.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
What's your general initial thoughts? That's what I always.
It's just real quick. I actually really liked it. I actually really thought this was a really interesting episode, and the one thing that I kept thinking was and I know these shows are only 45 minutes, and it felt like and I've said this about a number of episodes. I've always said there's quite a few that would have made great like two-parters just to flesh things out a bit more. But I wish there was a little bit more explained. I felt like there was certain tensions there, but between the characters and especially between the I was going to say the captain, the commander and what's his name who got on the ship and had the Trill put in him.
Broad.
Is that his name? Broad?
Yeah, Brad.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on actors' names. I'm awful for that.
Glover.
John Gleese?
John Glover. That's it. Thank you. Yeah.
John Glover.
Yeah, he's really good in anything he does. But yeah, I just thought, wow, the tension there between them and there was just so much more I would like to have seen, like a little more explanation of the backstory and why and what their plans were. And I felt like, you know what, they only had 45 minutes to do this, and they got in quite a lot. And I mean, for that, what they could do, I thought it was really good what they did. But man, I would like to have seen just that whole story just kind of fleshed out a bit more and just get a little more meat off those bones, if you know what I mean. But
Oh yeah.
I agree.
there's a lot that goes in on relationships and friendships and you know, having two personalities connected and then separated and joined to someone else. And there's a lot in there that.
It's like, did Dax experience any, like when Jadzia, when it went back into Jadzia, did she experience what little bit was in him? Like,
I got that impression at the end.
Yeah,
it was just a lot of stuff.
yeah. She just said, "I remember everything," and she was saying how sad it was.
Yes, yeah.
So instantly, when a symbiote goes into a new host, the host gets everything that the symbiote, you know.
And apparently previous hosts, which I didn't know. I was like, he says, you know, he gets all the knowledge of that host plus all the hosts before. And I was like, wow, that's because you've really got to be ready for that. Actually, that was the other thing that drove me nuts too, is that when he said that he said he was rejected, he was angry because he was rejected for being
unsuitable.
Unsuitable. That was the word. Yes. And I was like, that was it. They just told him you're unsuitable and out the door. Like I was like, I thought there would have been they would have at least given him more reasons and whatnot. And maybe again, that would have been really interesting to hear more reasons why he wasn't and why he was rejected. And did he get angry and storm out? I mean, a little flashback scene for like that would have been really great. Something just to get an idea of that moment when he was turned down for it and what set him off. And I thought, I'd love to have seen more on that. But
yeah, but we did kind of get to see a little bit more of that with the episode Equilibrium from season 3. So because in that way they say they essentially just was saying that there's just not enough symbionts to put into hosts because it's more than 1 in 10. I think they're saying about 50% of the population is suitable for joining, not just 10%.
Yeah, more than half their population is capable of being joined.
Yeah. That is an episode we're going to talk about down the road, maybe not soon, but down the road.
Next episode is going to be called, what's that, Body and Soul? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. His the female character, I can't remember her name, but the actor, her name was Megan Gallagher.
Mm-hmm.
She actually played in 2 Voyager episodes, and one of them which was Body and Soul.
Oh,
and she was in Little Green Man as the female.
Oh, you're right.
Oh God, yeah.
Because I remember seeing her. I was like, there was something about her. Just like Tuvok, before she had multiple roles. You know, she had multiple character roles throughout like the Star Trek franchise. She was in, first time I remember, she was in this episode. And then I was like, she was in Little Green Man. And then I was like, wait, she was in Voyager too. You know? So I was just wanting to make sure I confirmed that with you guys. That, you know, she, you know, Megan Gallagher is the actress name and stuff. Okay.
Now, the episode you're thinking about, Jeff, is Facets.
Yeah, isn't that where she does the Gentara?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And that's also the episode where Nog applies for Starfleet Academy and Quark fiddles with the program, and Rom grows a pair and nearly knocks the snot out of his brother.
Yeah, we'll have to cover that episode at some point. That's another one of my favorite episodes, especially because Quark is basically possessed by a woman. That is just so funny. But you know, I mean, Armin Shimmerman, honestly, I love that guy. You know, he is a brilliant actor, and what he did in this episode you know, even though it seemed very like unquark-like, you know, he did it with such oomph. And I mean, Armin Shimmerman does have a certain style of acting, and you know, the way that he plays Quark, regardless of how Quark is being, whether he's being the businessman, trying to be the friend, trying to be the villain, trying to be the hero, you know, he does it with such grace, but also such oomph.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just the scene in sickbay when
Oh,
when
Yanko.
when Bashir is just like, right, hold this to his ear, and the Klingon just jabs it in, and he really does scream.
Yeah.
And then, like when the doctor injects him, and he just walks onto Quark, and then he's just like, "Thank you, Doctor. I feel so much better already." Just the instant change in him is just, he does it so well. I mean, they couldn't have picked a better person to play Quark. They really couldn't.
Yeah, that
I
was a
like the first time. Oh, I was gonna say I like the first time seeing him in TNG when he played in Ferengi. And what was that episode, Dave? Ooh, I can't remember. It was like one of the first 5 episodes. They was chasing the
yeah.
Ferengi Marauder, the Ferengi ship. He played. He played. That's the first time we ever seen the Ferengi.
Last
And he was
Outpost.
last outpost.
Yeah.
Last outpost.
It
Yeah.
took me a minute, but I got it. Saying, look out! Don't get intimidated.
Last outpost. There we go. Yeah. I was like, okay, they brought him back in a different way, but this time when they brought Arnold Schimmerman back to play this character, it was more so. It was like, yeah, they really knew what
I
they
will admit, I didn't realize who it was when I first started watching DS9 because I was like very behind in watching Star Trek, as you all know. We will go more into that on the 7th of April. But I first saw him in Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Principal Snyder. You know, just, you know, it took me about 3 seasons of DS9 to realize who the hell it was. I'm like, you know what? Because I mean, obviously we didn't have IMDb back then, you know, and you know, I was just like, who the hell is that? I recognize his voice, and then I'd watched I'd watched an episode of DS9, and then I watched a rerun episode of Buffy from season 3. Or was it from season 2? I can't remember. And Principal Snyder started talking. I'm like, oh my god, you're Quark!
It was
I
season
mean,
2.
she's just like, what?
Well,
And I'm like, he's the dude with the big ears in Star Trek Deep Space. And I'm just like, I couldn't remember the name of the Ferengi side. I'm just like, he's the dude with the big ears in DS9. And, you know, I couldn't believe it. And I just can't believe that I didn't recognize him. But it was like a huge revelation for me. And I'm just like, when I first realized it, I was just like, oh my god, Principal Snyder. But now when I watch reruns of Buffy and I watch episodes like seasons 2 and 3, I'm just like, it's Quark.
well, that was like when I know I've probably shared this before, but Boy Meets World, Mr. Feeney. Saying I just kept on thinking I recognize his voice.
Oh.
It's driving me nuts. And then one episode he said Michael, and I'm like, right.
You know what? The first time I heard his voice, I was like, that can't be. I was like, no way. And I was like, it is. The first time I heard his voice, and it was like one of the first times, you know, I was like, that is from Knight Rider.
Yeah, because like I said, it was. Yeah, because it wasn't until he said Michael is when I made that epiphany, and I literally like jaw dropped. I'm pointing at the TV, and I was like screaming, "Oh my god!"
What was? I don't want to go too far off topic. What was the other series that he was in? He did another series as well, didn't he?
Maybe
William
it
Daniels.
Girl,
yeah, he is a well respected
Yeah,
actor.
he has an extensive background of,
Because
you know,
I sort of knew that ahead of time because I thought I'd seen him in something else or saw him in an interview once, so I knew what he had looked like and what he had sounded like. So when I saw him in that, I caught him a bit
I
of that.
know he was in
Oh,
a 80 show called Saint Elsewhere. I know he was in the, you know,
was he insane elsewhere?
I
I might
believe
have
so.
been, yeah.
I remember, I believe I remember he was in. He was very much younger at that time, of course, at that time and everything, because his voice was more established. And you would hear like, oh
Yeah,
wow,
yeah. Is he still alive? I know he's getting on.
that is a good question.
I have to look that one
I
up.
really don't know.
I knew he was getting on.
But Dave, your notes, it doesn't contain anything else for this particular episode and stuff. I mean,
Oh, I got quite a bit. Just
Hmm.
noting how truly amazing Bashir was as a doctor years before we knew of his genetic enhancements and all that. But the level of empathy and concern over Jadzia, I mean, you could really feel it through the screen. I mean, he
Oh
he
god,
did
yeah.
care for not just as a potential love interest, but just as a friend.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And
And
Cisco too. You saw how Cisco, he has a very way over his words. You know, he literally got somebody that was loyal to him to turn on him. You know, around, and it's like, wow. You know, he really got through to her with, I hate to use this word, but simply using logic in a way. He used simple logic to get through to her to say, you know, yeah, he is not going to be who you think he is after he's joined. You know, after he joined, it's a whole totally new person that pops up off that operating table.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Cisco, of
And
course, you know,
he did have a good
go
Did
ahead,
they
Dave.
first introduce the Trills in Next Generation? I think.
the host season
Okay,
5.
yeah, because I remember the first time I watched that episode, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I don't know how to explain it, but the whole concept of that joining like that, I wanted to kind of understand better. I just remember watching that episode, being really weirded out by the whole concept of that, and just not being able to imagine like this joint of two personalities, and it was such a bizarre idea, but very very Star Trek though. Very like that's kind of very like that to introduce that can kind of what's what I'm looking for, create dialogue amongst his viewers to make people
And that makes you think about us humans, like, you know, we all know the symbiotes are a intelligent species, and Trills themselves are an intelligent species, but they found a way that, you know, the symbiotes can actually become, you know, part of the, you know, I guess, you know, you could say the humanoid figure.
yeah.
Now imagine us humans, a species on our planet, that we would find a way to have a joint, you know, like a joint living style with and stuff that, you know, we can have a symbiotic relationship with. You know, something that, you know, everything that you live through, the symbiote lives through, and that symbiote, you know, that life form, by the time your physical body dies, that, you know, other life form can live on through another and stuff and everything. Imagine, you know, the kind of things if these humans was put in that, you know, place.
I was just about to mention the glow. You know, because I was about to
Indeed.
say it's not often that we see a joined race, but you know we have the Trill in Star Trek, and then in Stargate we have the Goa'uld. You know, it.
Yeah,
But whereas the Goa'uld, they come, yeah, the brainworms, they basically took over the host. It wasn't a symbiotic relationship. It was
No,
slightly different.
they
Even
forced
though they were
it.
like, yeah, even though they were joined, you know, they had access to all the host's memories. The
Hmm.
consciousness of the host was suppressed completely, and the growl took over. Whereas it's
Yeah.
nice to see the Trill have literally a completely like a complete harmony in their union,
Mhm.
um, between host and symbiont. But I kind of like the prospect of both.
And you know what? One thing about the trails, if you know, not to get too political or too ideology and stuff and everything, but each symbiote goes into a host regardless of their gender. If
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
if the gender happened to become like went from a male to female back to male and stuff like that and everything, you know, I guess in their culture, they don't look at it in such a negative connotation.
Mhm.
They don't
Yeah.
look at it in a way to where it's like, it's just a host is ready. A host happens to be a female gender, and before it was a male. It was in a male. So I always appreciated that they never emphasize on, you know,
True.
if a symbiote is in a male, it has to go to another male. That's one thing they did in DS9 with Jadzia because when they throughout her throughout the entire series of when they talk about Jadzia, reliving the past and they talk about previous hosts and stuff. It's always talks about that individual and that individual happened to be male or female, but there was no like negative way. Of course, we saw the thing about
Right.
her and her ex-wife. Was it Tobin? Who was I think it was Tobin who was killed in the shadow. His ex-wife,
Hmm.
Lana Khan or something like that. And we saw that whole thing about the first same-sex kiss in Deep Space Nine in Star Trek history, and I mean, it really threw people for a loop and stuff and everything. But yet, in the Star Trek realm, it's like the trails don't look at it like that, you know. But I appreciated that. But go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry if you got more of your notes. Go ahead because I know time is short.
Yeah, saying
Yeah.
yeah, saying that Real one of the comments that she made to Cisco was that she helped Varad relax. I was like, "Oh, I bet you did." And I heard a little bit of left
Yeah.
twitch in there, just like giggity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for some reason that comment about the Toker that I put in there, YouTube rejected it, thinking it was spam. Like, okay.
Oh,
Huh?
It does that
really?
to me all the time. It does that to me all the time. It says your comment has failed to post, and I'm just like, screw you.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Maybe we should start speaking with that ancient. Uh, oh, oh, shoot.
Dialect.
Like yeah, one of the ancient dialects that the ancients spoke was it? I forgot
Pakurus
the name.
Teonas.
There you go. You two wouldn't
I
have a
kind of painted
problem.
my prawn.
Oh,
got a little technology, aren't you?
No, but like one of the other like best lines, like I said, Corn had a really good line about Rom not finding a cup of water in the lake and saying right there at the end, and he's like, Varad, don't call me Benjamin. And he didn't even move a muscle. He just hit that phaser button and boom, right in his chest.
Right. Yeah.
yes, he did. And boy, oh boy, I was
The,
wondering at that time, did the phaser do more damage to because of with the symbiote just got transferred into him, and
Hmm.
then they quickly got it back into Jose. I'm like, man, that symbiote is going through a whirl of tumbles with going through from one host to another back to the original host, and I'm thinking, how much stress could that symbiote be under?
But also, that could have been another reason for the degradation that allowed. Oh, what was his name? I had his name in my head then. For what's his face to resurface?
Duran?
Duran, that's the one. Thank you, Dave. What you said. But yeah, that could have been part and parcel of the degradation as well.
That's a good point, Katie, because it happened in the following year.
Yeah, so it's
her isoboring levels. That's what I remember. Her isoboring levels was dropping, and that's what I remembered in the episode. Dr. Bashir couldn't stabilize it. That's why they took her back to Trill, because her isoboring levels was dropping, and they were trying to stabilize it.
Yes.
That is a good. Oh wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah, I can't mention that earlier on. It might have been like before you popped into the chat, but that the events happened here led into what occurred with her isoboramine levels dropping and all that.
It's a little bit of minor echo there.
What up, Katie?
Something's gone wrong on your end with your audio because everybody's echoing.
Yeah, I'm hearing the echo too, so it must be StreamYard.
Uh-oh. Technology.
I know, it's really bad. No, it's not Dave's audio.
Well, I will give it a thumbs down when the stream is over to mention that the feedback happened.
Hold on.
Try moving the microphone a little way. I don't know if that'll help mine or not. I'm hearing me, so yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, and it's definitely not. I've just muted.
Is it me on my end?
And yeah, I got YouTube in the background, but both of those are muted, so it's not that.
We love technology. We really do, people.
Can't live with it, can't live without it. So on that.
I know. You haven't been whispering sweet nothings to your technology. I know this because it's playing up.
But yeah, saying that, don't call me Benjamin. That was one thing I definitely put a star next to in my notes.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to say this. Everybody knows that I'm not too keen on Cisco. But in this episode, minus one conversation, I actually like him.
He grows on you. I mean, he grew on me. It took me a good long while, but the character grew on me, and I was like, okay, I can't compare him with Picard or Kirk. So I was like, I got to look at it from a different perspective because it's a new character, and he in this particular episode, he really, like you said, Katie, he did do some pretty good things. Not saying he never do, but he did some really good things and stuff. He tried. They used a bare minimum force as they could without trying to kill anybody. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they didn't have to go to the extreme where they had to kill any of those people that was basically holding them hostage and stuff. But I'm glad they found a way. Even though we seen Quark, that little devilish thing, he's the one who got it started. And what was the Klingon name? Yeto?
Yeah, Yeto and Takar.
Okay, Yeto.
Yeah, but Yeto, I mean, he was the more annoying of the two, I think. But yeah, Bashir got him good with just like, let me get a hypo, almost ready, and then just right in the Adam's apple.
I loved that. I mean, like I said before, this is one of my favorite episodes, and it always will be. But just everything in this episode was absolutely brilliant. See, one of the things that I have against Cisco is a lot of the time when he's talking, because of the tone of his voice, he sounds very condescending and patronizing. When he was talking to Varad's woman, whatever her name was, I can't remember.
Mariel.
Mariel, that's it. When he was talking to her, there was a couple of times where his tone shifted and he sounded so condescending and so patronising. And I'm just like, love, if you ever spoke to me like that, you would be told to shut up and get a slap in the mouth. Because it really upsets me, and it really more than upsets me, it enrages me when people condescend others, speak down to them, be patronising, and that's one of the reasons why I can't really like Cisco, because he does tend to have that tone to his voice a hell of a lot. And I can't stand it. It grates on me. I feel violent tendencies, and I have to make more anti-homicide juice just to get through an episode sometimes. And no, that is serious. It has the potential to actually slip my mental health, because I have so much against that tone of voice. It's one thing if you're doing it in jest, and you're having a laugh, but when you're having serious conversations and you're patronising people like this, and you're speaking in this tone, and it's almost like sarcasm, and everything rolled into one, and that's why I don't like it. But there are certain times, certain moments where he's on point, and the majority of this episode he was.
Because he was fighting for Dax and the symbiote. But he was fighting for two life forms, and I think he was fighting for Viral as well too, just because that it's like, you do this, and you are hurting others in ways that you can't even imagine.
Well, that sounded like some good closing thoughts of the episode, because the audio just seems to be getting degrading even more and more as we proceed. Did you have any closing thoughts, Phil?
I think everybody kind of covered everything. I said what I wanted to. Like I said, I want to say is it was really good, but man, it kind of left me kind of wanting a little bit more in the dialogue. But for what it was, in a 45-minute span, it was really good. I actually really liked this one.
Yeah, I'll say, well, next week, I know we kind of already talked about it a little bit. Next week, we're going to be talking about Body and Soul, which is one of my favorite episodes from Voyager, in my opinion. And I get to just say probably like one of the best lines in there, just like, you became sexually aroused in me. And Jane says, 7 wasn't liking that one bit.
Who knows that a hologram could get sexually aroused?
I think eventually, though, they came to an understanding, and I think by halfway through the episode, they were fully working together with it, and it's so funny. It's so funny. It really is, because Jerry Ryan really showed her skills in this episode, and she really did embody, Robert Picardo, the Doctor, and I love it.
Alrighty, well, Dave, is that it?
I think we're going to call it good for tonight. So until next week, let's see, hasta la pasta.
We'll have better working conditions, but
Toodle pips.
good night, all.
Daily frequencies are now closed.
Be safe, everybody.